Last class, we started discussing about the C programming language. We have seen the character set of C, identifiers in C, and keywords in C. So every language definition starts with a character set, then then identifiers can be defined from the character set, and a set of identifiers can be reserved as keywords. This is what we have learned in the previous lecture, and today we are going to discuss about data types in C language. Data type is the most fundamental aspect in any programming language. So the agenda for today is data types in C. Before we define what is a data type, let us try to understand what is the meaning of a binary string in a computer. Let us start with an example. Now you consider a very simple memory device in a computer, which is just a sequence of 15 bytes of memory. 1 byte means 8 bits. 8 bits are named as a byte. Now you consider a very simple memory device with only 15 bytes in it. And now you need a way to access a memory or refer to a memory location, and which is done using what is called a location, which is the address or a number identifying the memory location. So this is what is called the location of this particular memory byte. Now once you know the location, you can see what is the content of the location 7. Maybe the content must be a binary string of length 8. Assume that this is the binary string at this particular location. Now ask this question: what data is represented by the value at location 7 in memory? So at location 7 we have 01, 000, 001. It's a binary string, and what is it representing? It may be representing a number or a character or a pixel in an image, or it could be a part of a video also. So we don't know. And that's data type. The value or the meaning or semantics of a binary string is defined by its data type in any programming language. So the data types actually define what value it is representing, or a method of interpretation of the binary string is defined by the data type. How you can interpret the binary string, or what is the meaning of the binary string, or what is the semantics of the binary string, is given by what is called a data type. Data type is the most fundamental aspect of any programming language. We can try to understand it using this example string. So give us a binary string like 0, 1, 5 zeros again 1. The data type needs to be known to say what value it is representing. For example, if you say that the data type of this value is decimal integer, then you can say that the data represented is decimal number 65. So that is the method of interpretation as a number. Now suppose that it is a character. You say that it is ASCII character. It's the character encoding scheme used in the C programming language. Then the value is capital A. See the same binary string, if the data type is integer, then the interpretation is 65, which is a decimal number. If you say that it is a character, you interpret it as capital A. So the meaning differs depending on the data type. Or it could be hexadecimal. There is no such data type in C language, but suppose in a programming language there is something called hexadecimal, a data type. Then the value represented is 41 in the hexadecimal representation. Why? Because you know that in hexadecimal number system, 4 binary bits are assigned hexadecimal digit. So this is 1, this is 4. So the take home from this slide is that data type is a very important concept for any programming language, and the first point or aspect defined by a data type is the meaning for a binary string. So what is the meaning? Depending on the type, it could be 65 or capital A or 41 or whatever. Now we can see other aspects of a data type. We can try to see it more formally, what a data type is. The single topic for this particular lecture. We have to see the different aspects of data defined by its data type. So which are the different aspects of a data type, of a data is represented by a data type. The first is memory requirement, meaning how many bits or how many bytes are required to store a legitimate value. When I say legitimate, if you look at the data type of character, then the legitimate values are all the permissible characters in the alphabet set of C language. There could be a character or a special character which is not permitted in C language, which is not a legitimate value. When I say legitimate value, which is in the defined set or permissible set of objects. Okay, so the first aspect which is defined by a data type is the memory requirement for storing a value of that particular data type. For example, in a language, integer may be requiring 2 bytes. 2 bytes means 8 plus 8, 16 bits. Not that if it is 2 bytes, then how many different integers can be there? In general, how many elements are there in the integer set? Infinitely many. Because if you look at the mathematical set integer, it is 0, minus 1, minus 2, etc. to minus infinity in the left side, and 1, 2, 3, etc. to positive infinity in the right side. So there are infinitely many elements in the mathematical set integer. A very important point is that in any computer, regardless of what language, when I say language, I mean programming language. What programming language you select, you cannot represent the mathematical integer in a computer, because the mathematical set integer is infinite. So you need infinite memory that you don't have in a computer. So if you want to represent a number in a computer, then you are bounding it. The mathematical set may be infinite, but you can only represent finitely many integers in a data type. If it is 2 bytes, only 2 to the power 16 different numbers can be represented, because only 16 bits are used. The different binary strings possible with the 16 bits is 2 to the power 16. Okay, and if you say that you are going to represent more than 2 to the power 16 values, that's not correct, because there may be more than one value represented by a string by pigeonhole principle. Okay, so this is a very important aspect, and these are what are called machine integers. Integers represented in a machine which is bounded. If it is 2 bytes, maybe if it is unsigned, then you can say that the values possible are from 0 to 65,535, which is the largest possible number with 2 bytes, which is 2 to the power 16 minus 1. If it is signed, then you cannot represent all. It is actually coming from minus 68 to plus 32,767. You don't have to by heart all these numbers. The only take home is that the moment you decide the memory requirement of a data type, then you are fixing the maximum possible values or the domain of values, which is a finite set, depending on the data type. Okay. Another example, maybe for real numbers you need 4 bytes. At another example, maybe for characters you need just 1 byte. 1 byte means 2 to the power 8, 256 different characters can be represented, and in the character set of C language, you don't have more than 256 characters, so 1 byte is enough. So very important point, when you represent an infinite set of objects in computer, only finitely many, that is a subset, can be represented. Okay. So the first aspect that a data type is representing is the memory requirement. How many bits are required to represent a value? The second aspect is that we have already seen, the method of interpretation or the semantics or the meaning of the binary string. Example is here, suppose you have this binary string, type is integer means it is 65, type is character means it is capital A. Okay, so the data type determines what is the meaning of the integer. The meaning of the binary string. If it is integer, then 65. If it is character, then capital A. That is the second aspect. And third aspect is, it also defines the set of operations which are defined over the values of that particular data type. We can try to understand with examples. Now suppose that data type of A and B are integers. Note that this is the mathematical set integers, which is not possible, which cannot be represented in a computer. This is just an example. Suppose A and B are integers, and the value of A is 40 and value of B is 35. Then what is the sum of A and B? You all know it is 75. So if the value is a number, then plus stands for addition. The meaning of plus is addition, arithmetic operation. Now suppose you have two objects x and y, both are string objects. X is a string, y is a string. Suppose that the value of x is go, which is a string, and y is odd, which is another string. Now x plus y could be representing good. That is, here the plus is representing concatenation for strings. Okay. Anyway, string data type is not permitted in the C language. I am giving you just an example to understand what I mean when I say operations. See, meaning of operators are also defined by the data type. You can see here that if you are performing plus over two numbers, then it is addition. And if you are performing the same operator over two strings, it may be concatenation. Or you can say that, okay, you have two strings u and v, u minus p is undefined. That means the data type is not defining minus as an operation. Okay, these are just abstract views about the data type. When you learn the data structure course later in your BTech, you can see more about data types. So here you have to remember that the memory requirement is decided by the data type. The meaning of a binary string represented is decided by the data type, and which are the operations permissible are also defined by the data type. And when you learn about computer organization and architecture or microprocessor, you can see that if you perform addition on integers and later addition on real numbers, these are actually performed using different hardware circuits. So the data type integer is having a separate implementation for addition than the data type float. Okay, so operations are also decided by the data type. So these are the various aspects that a data type defines. So we are now coming to the last part of this lecture, where we are going to look at the primitive data types allowed in the C language, or the inbuilt data types in the C language. So we will look at the keyword representing a data type, the memory requirements, the typical memory requirements, and operations allowed. First primitive data type is decimal integer, which is represented by a keyword int. Int is a keyword representing decimal integer. So later we can see how you can make use of the keyword. That's a different issue. And typical memory requirement is 2 bytes or 4 bytes. It depends on the compiler. In some compiler, integer takes 2 bytes. In some other compiler, 4 bytes. And arithmetic comparison and bitwise operators are allowed. And if you use this data type, then the string will be interpreted as a number. And the second primitive data type is character. Is ASCII character. Is a character encoding scheme used in a compiler for C. ASCII expands to American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So in this code, every character is having a decimal value. Even though it is a character, there is a decimal value as defined by the ASCII encoding scheme. And you know that there are only less than 256 characters in the C language, so only 1 byte is enough. And because every character is having a decimal equivalent number, all these operations are allowed here as well. Later, when you practice programming, you can see when it is meaningful to perform arithmetic operations on character values. And the third primitive data type included in the C language is real number represented by the keyword float, floating point number. It's actually a number which is containing a decimal point or exponent or both. arithmetic operations are allowed, 4 bytes are required, and not that the implementation of the operations will be different when compared to integer. And finally, double precision real number. The only difference is that here 8 bytes are required to store, so more precision is possible. Arithmetic operations are allowed, and we have seen integer data type, and actually integer type can be augmented by these keywords. Example usage, you can say short int, long int, signed int, or unsigned int. And what is it? Suppose in a compiler, in your compiler, an integer takes 4 bytes. Then usually when you say short int, it takes only 2 bytes. Suppose in your program, you know that you are not going to make use of large integers. Your usage is always within the permissible range for 2 bytes. Then to save memory, to make it more memory efficient, you can go for short int, only 2 bytes. In that case, long int will be 8 bytes depending on the compiler. If you know that, oh, I need to go for large numbers, go for long int, or you can say that is signed or unsigned. When it is signed, 1 bit will be reserved for representing the sign, 1 bit. So only n minus 1 bits will be used for representing the value. That is the difference between signed and unsigned. For example, suppose you have 2 bytes for integer, and unsigned means all the 16 bits can be used to represent numbers. So it can represent if for 2 bytes, the values from 0 to 65,535, which is the largest number possible, because 2 to the power 16 minus 1 is this number. You don't have to remember these numbers, and rather than saying short int, you can just say short. Short is nothing but short int. Int is optional. Similarly, long stands for long int. Signed stands for signed int. Unsigned stands for unsigned int. And some compiler also allows long for floating point type as well. You don't have to by heart all these things. Later when you practice programming, slowly you can also remember all these keywords and data types. So in this class, we have seen data types in C language. Data type is a very fundamental aspect and very important aspect for any programming language. And the data type defines the memory requirement, how many bytes are required to store a value of that particular type. It also gives you a meaning for a binary string. Also, it defines the set of operations permissible over values of that particular type. And we have seen the primitive data types in C language, which are integer, character, floating point values, and double precision values, represented by the keywords int, char, float, and double. We have seen the memory requirements, etc. And you don't have to by heart all these keywords now. Slowly when you practice programming, naturally you can remember all these things. So whatever we discussed today, you just try to understand the concept and no need to by heart the keywords and usage like long, short, etc. When you practice, you can use it and you can try to remember. Thank you.